Gamers, today we are back with another one. We're back with the Imperial tier list for Sultan's Ascent. This is August, and let's just jump into it. Which ones do we start first? We need a starting point. You know what I mean? We need a starting point. Let's go Castle of the Crow, D tier. Not very good. Now, just to give you guys perspective how I'm gonna rate these, D tier is like awful, you never go for it kind of thing. C tier, sometimes, but not very good. Okay, so Castle of the Crow, you can go for it sometimes when you're like trying to hold sacred sites or something. It's not really a good landmark, right? And then obviously S tier is the best, A tier is right under, B is like, it's okay. We're gonna start with that. Next one we're going to be talking about is going to be Seagate Castle. And I'm going to give this one a D tier. It's just not very good. Now, before we continue, disclaimer. This tier list is for tippity top, cream of the crop level gameplay. This is not for Gold League. This is not team games. This is my opinion in 1 versus 1 at the top level. Even the previous tier list I made, there's some dents that like, well, actually this Malian Saharan Trade Network is really good. No, it's not. It's not, okay? The reason why I'm saying the disclaimer now, because there's a lot of gold players that are like, yo, this landmark is so good. It gives your traders movement speed. It's like, okay, but we're playing different games. Ain't nobody trading with Ottoman early on, okay, in one-on-ones. And by the time you get to late game, who cares if your traders move faster? You already got plenty of gold. The other one, the other landmark from the Ottoman, we're gonna put it into A tier for now. We'll see, I might move it around. The reason why it's A tier, you get instant university. You also boost all your military school production. So you just get free resources basically with this landmark. I'm not actually sure what landmarks I'm going to put in S tier, so we'll put it in A for now. We might move it upwards. We'll see. Next one we'll be talking about is going to be I'll put Spasskaya Tower above Castle of the Crow. We'll put it here for now. I just think that these landmarks that are like just a keep and it doesn't do anything else is pretty underwhelming, depending on the civ that you're playing with. So there's no matchup where you're like, ooh, I'm going Spasskaya here. Like, whenever you play Rus, you are, in one-on-ones, you are gonna go for the other landmark. Spasskaya is more like, oh shit, I'm about to die kind of landmark. You never want to rely, like, you never want to go this landmark just so you can get stone walls. So it's most of the time to either like get a sacred site victory or to just basically not die. It's not to unlock stone walls. Next one we'll be talking about is going to be let's see what else we got. Palace of Swabia, HRE Palace of Swabia, S tier. I mean, do I even need to explain why this landmark? It's the only landmark that's cheaper to age up with, not counting the technology wings from the other civs. And it is a very, very good landmark for both OOTD and HRE. They're cheaper and you produce workers faster and cheaper. It is insane. S tier for both of them. Even though OOTD, not the greatest civ, but that landmark, that shit slaps. Alright? Elsbach Palace. I'm gonna give both Elsbach's palaces B tier. It is a defensive landmark, right? Similar to these, but it is a lot better than them, right? This one is just a keep that gives you some shit trader. This one gives you ability to make stone walls. This one gives you damage reduction on all your buildings, 33%, and you can put relic inside it. So you can hold sacred sites with it, but if you open 2TC, HRE, or OOTD, you don't really need Palace of Swabia. So if you went 2TC, HRE, or OOTD, you're usually going to age up in Imperial with Elsbach because you're not going to need like more workers because you already got plenty. So I'm going to give it a B tier. Next one we'll be talking about is going to be College of Artillery. It's a D tier. Now I'm gonna give it a C tier. It's not unusable, but it just, the reason this landmark is not good is, there's two reasons actually. Number one reason, if this landmark allowed you to make culverins out of every siege workshop, this would be a lot better. But the fact is, you can only make culverins from it, and having extra damage on your cannon, I mean, who cares? Second reason why this landmark is not as good is because of the other landmark that the French has, and JD, which is Red Palace. Now, this is just another keep landmark. So why is this S tier, and why are these other ones low? Well, it's not because of the keep itself, it's because of the Arbalest upgrade that it gives you. And this landmark makes French and JD literally impossible to raid in the late game. They actually don't make... So let me just get the cat here. They actually don't need to make keeps in their base. They can just make TCs that shoot Arbalest upgrades. And they can defend the raids very, very easily. So, yeah, it is very, very strong. And on top of that, you can pretty much hold any point on the map. If you put Red Palace and then put 15 villagers inside, it will kill literally anything. Including, it will kill enemy keeps. So I don't know if you guys know this, but if you have Red Palace next to the enemy keep, if you put 15 units inside, it will kill the keep as well. So yeah, it's a very, very good landmark. Berkshire and Wingard. I'm gonna give both Berkshire and Wingard A tier. I think Berkshire is very strong, especially if you get it on a good place on the map. Like if you get it on the middle of the map, it's very, very good. But comparing it to, like I'm comparing Berkshire to Red Palace, I think Red Palace is way, way better. And Berkshire against a lot, like initially when it pops up, it's very strong. But once the game goes on and there's a bunch of armored units, it's not as strong anymore. And it's pretty easy to take down once you have bombards. Wingard to me is a landmark that it's really good. Like the cost of the units and the units that you have in Wingard Palace are really good. The problem is, I feel like most of the time, if you're ahead, you might as well just make Berkshire to maintain advantage. Or if you're behind, you make Berkshire to try and hold, right? To try to survive. So I feel like going Wingard is like extending the game and then extending your lead. But you're never going to be behind and then come back with Wingard Palace. Also, if you're ahead... The cat is eating my neck. If you're ahead and you build a Wingard Palace and then you make the, the OP footmen and the rangers, you're probably going to win anyway. So, while the landmark is really good, I feel like that's why it's not an S tier for me. Cat, you're eating my neck. Next one we're going to talk about is High Armory. And High Armory, I'm just going to give it an S tier. It's good for multiple reasons. The upgrades that it has are really good. It gives your Springles, Rams, really good upgrades. It gives a Bombard an upgrade to one-shot, basically, infantry. It gives your Springles extra range. It gives your Ram extra damage, I think. And then it gives your Mangonels and Trebuchet no setup needed. No setup needed, so you can just like stop, shoot, and go. And it makes your siege cheaper. So it's very, very good, very, very valuable. We love it. We'll leave these Abbasid ones for later. Hisar Academy and Palace of the Sultan. Hey, Tiny Dog. Palace of the Sultan, I think it's okay. And then Hisar Academy, I think it's okay. They're not great landmarks. I wouldn't say they're situational because you gotta pick one. They're just okay. Let's keep them there for now. They're C tier, but you kind of have to pick one. But they're not very good landmarks. They're both pretty bad. And actually, looking at the other Delhi landmarks, they're pretty decent / good. But these two are both actually pretty terrible. So I'm going to give it a C tier for now, and we'll see where we go with that. They're not, like I said, C tier is situational. They're not situational, they're just shit. So, C for shit. Next one we'll be talking about is going to be Temple of the Sun and Zhu Xi's Library. I think Zhu Xi Library is pretty good. Cat, you're gonna fall off again. Zhu Xi Library is pretty good. Temple of the Sun. Wait, which one is the one you upgrade stuff in? The one that you upgrade library. Okay. Library, I think, is A tier. It has some really good upgrades, and you can make some really good use out of it. And it buffs. It's not about just having the upgrades. It buffs, like, your main army, right? So if it's like, if you get the Spearman Horseman one, it buffs all of them. If you get the Zuginu Crossbow one, it buffs all of them. Especially because you don't have hand cannoneers. Temple of the Sun, I feel like, I mean, they kind of work together. I don't really know how to rate these. Maybe I'll put them both in B tier. I don't really know how to rate them because they work together. Like, Temple of the Sun is but then when you get some of these upgrades, it works a lot better. So for example, one of the upgrades that Temple of the Sun has is 20% damage on cavalry. But it doesn't really work until like super late into the game. So I'm not really sure where to put these. I'll put them here for now, but I might move them around. We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna keep it like this for now, and then we'll figure it out. Tanegashima Gunsmith. This is an easy S tier landmark. Why is it an S tier? Well, on top of giving you Ozutsu and the ability to make Ribaldequins in it, it also gives you free resources. It gives you tickets over time, and basically you get resources with it, right? You get gold, you get wood, depending what you're making, and sometimes when, you know, maybe you're defending, you're about to die, you can crank out a lot of units and kind of come back into it. So I think this landmark is very, very good. Griodbara. This landmark is pretty bad. Now, it has some uses. Basically, it has three abilities. One is to increase your food income by paying gold. You don't really lack food in with any civ in Imperial, okay? It's not very good ability. The second one increases your production speed by 50% on all your buildings, which is cool. But then again, in Imperial, you usually have a shit ton of production anyway, so it doesn't really do anything. And then the one that is usable / pretty cool at times is to do the one where it increases your siege damage and your torch damage, and you can like snipe landmarks. But this is like so, you know, memey that it's like, if you're in a situation, let me put it this way. If you're in a situation where you can snipe enemy landmarks with scouts and stuff like that, you probably already won, you know? And until then, you gain nothing from this landmark. So, not very good. Next one is Fort of the Huntress. I think Fort of the Huntress is an okay landmark. It's a keep, but it also gives your... I don't know if they're fighting or they're just holding each other. It gives your infantry unit stealth ability and increases the damage from stealth for Musafari warriors and hand cannoneers. So, I think it's an alright landmark. Yeah, we'll keep that like that for now. We'll reorder some of them at the end. They're fighting. Next one is going to be Foreign Engineering Company. I feel like I need more tiers. Okay, I like that. Okay, that makes me a lot more calmer. Okay, I like that. This is good. Foreign Engineering Company is basically a landmark that gives you siege for oil. So you can either choose to produce units with oil, or you can use it to buy siege. Now, Pow Pow is okay at times. Nest of Bees is obviously very good. But you cannot get crazy amounts of them without actually just quitting on making oil units. I think the best one is probably the cannon, because it's very, very strong, and you get the bonus of the ability as well when you go for it. So I think it's pretty decent, but it's not an OP landmark by any margin. And then the other one, which is Palatine School. I think Palatine School is... I'm going to give it a C tier. It's situational, and I feel like the only time I would go for Palatine School is if I somehow am aging up, but I already have a trade set up. Because in order to get the most out of this landmark, you need to be mass producing cataphracts, and you need to be producing Varangian guards. And then you get 30% chance to spawn another one, right? So if this is the situation, you are already probably winning. So it's one of those where on paper it's good, but in order to get the value of this landmark, you need to produce like absurd amount of cat, you're not being a good cat. You need to produce absurd amount of units, and I just don't think it's that good. But if you got trade already somehow with Byzantine in Castle, and then you have infinite amount of gold, it's pretty good. Next one we'll be talking about is the White Stupa. How much stone per minute does White Stupa give, actually? Do you guys know? By the way, another reason why this landmark is better, the Foreign Engineering Company. So Foreign Engineering Company, which I forgot to mention, what it does is it also gives all your mercenary units their unique abilities. So for example, if you have longbows, if you go for Foreign Engineering Company, your longbows will also have the rapid fire ability, but if you go Palatine School, they won't. If you are going for Javelin Thrower Camel, a mercenary contract, if you go with Foreign Engineering Company, you will also get the aura from camels that give armor to your units. So, yeah. White Stupa. I think White Stupa is okay. I think the idea of it giving you extra stone is cool. And it's 240 stone a minute, which means you can get like half, okay, like 70% of the, 60-70% of the bomber tower a minute. Which is cool, but at that point you have so many ways of getting stone as Mongol. Like you can get stone with trading, you can get stone with destroying the buildings. I think it just takes a very long time to get the value from it. So I think it's okay, but it's nothing special. Kaganat's Palace, I'm gonna give it a C tier. I think it's very situational. Maybe we go like this actually. That doesn't sound good. The Imperial landmarks are messing me up. Like I had the easiest time deciding for feudal landmarks, but the Imperial ones are a lot harder. Because I feel like this landmark is good, but it takes so long to pay off that it's just not great. And then Kaganat's Palace, I feel like it has its uses, and I've had games where I went Kaganat Palace and I won. But most of the time, I also feel like you probably just want to go White Stupa for safety. Let's keep it like that, and we'll see where we end up. Next landmark we're going to be talking about is going to be... what do we have left? We have Ayyubid, we have Abbasid, and we have Chinese landmarks. Spirit Way, I'm going to give B tier. The reason for this is this landmark used to be very strong and considered one of the best, but the playstyle and the meta and everything has changed quite a bit, and you almost never go this landmark first. Now, the activation of the landmark... What are you reading? The activation of this landmark, what it does is every time your unique units die, which are like Fire Lancers, Grenadiers, or it gives you an ability for whenever your unit dies to get 20% of like damage, and you get extra region or something like that. Which is cool, but first of all, you don't ever go Grenadiers. Fire Lancers, you will go with China at a point, and then Spirit Way is great, but I'm saying as aging up to Imperial, Spirit Way is not the way. Great Wall Gatehouse. I'm gonna give this an S tier because of how much fucking damage it does. And this landmark is great for multiple reasons. Is you can secure part of the map with it, you can age up really quickly with it, It does a shit ton of damage. It can actually kill siege. It can do anything you want. Maybe it's an A tier. We'll think about it. Now let's talk about the Abbasid wings. So obviously these ones are a little bit weird because it's I'm talking about not wing as a whole for any age. I'm talking about aging up to Imperial with these wings, okay? So aging up with military wing in Imperial, D tier. Why is it a D tier? Because you will always have military wing by then. You never wanna go like eco wing into culture wing into military wing. You always wanna go military wing beforehand, so you'll pretty much never ever see military wing into Imperial. I think you get like 3 hand cannoneers or something like that when you age up. So this is not good. Never age up to Imp with military wing. Always make sure you have it beforehand. Culture wing, also D tier. If you are going culture wing, if your plan is to go culture wing beforehand. The reason for that is culture wing gives you an upgrade that reduces the cost of your upgrades by 20%. But then you're Imperial, so it's like by the time you get it, what value are you actually getting, right? It is not very good. The upgrades you get from it are pretty shit too. So, meh. Then you have the economy wing and the trade wing. The trade wing, I'm gonna give A tier. I don't think it's an S tier. I think I'm gonna give both. Most of the time you age up with Abbasid into Imperial will be, I feel like, with trade wing. But I'm gonna give both. Where did I put the other one? Economy wing I'll put in B tier because if you are, so the biggest value you get out of economy wing before Imperial with Abbasid is going economy wing and then doing the farm transition by farms being cheaper, okay? But if you're aging up with economy wing in Imperial, you most likely already have farms. You most likely already transitioned to farms. So the only thing that you're getting is the farming bonus, which is pretty good, and you're getting the extra drop-off. I think it's 8% extra drop-off, but both of those you need to upgrade and you don't get immediate value. So while it's good, it's nothing to be like, oh, Abbasid got eco wing, it's gonna turn the game around kind of thing. Trade wing, on the other hand, is something that you pretty much need to get. Like you can skip out on economy wing. If you skipped it out in feudal and castle, you can skip it out in Imperial and get it as like a 5th age or 4th age or 5th age of the way. I don't know which way you want to look at it. But trade wing, you kind of have to have, because once you're Imperial, you're slowly approaching the part of the game where, you might start trading, and it gives you the trade upgrades, which are extremely important, which is the one that gives you 30% extra gold, second resource, and armor on your traders. And it also spawns you 7 traders, so you get instant value, which is very important. A lot of the landmarks that I rate are based on like how good it is long term and how much like instant value it gives you, right? And then we have the Ayyubid ones. Now the Ayyubid, they have like a post imp wings too. We're not gonna discuss those. Just fuck that. There's no need for it. So number 1, boom, the wood one. It sucks. D tier. Next one is going to be the faster age up to Imperial. It's situational. There are some situations where you do want to get it, especially if you're under pressure or you're needing some kind of, I'm going to put it in B tier. There's some situations where you want to go for it. It's nothing to, especially if you got all the good wings earlier, it can be used and it can be used in a good spot, but it's nothing to be like, oh my god, you go that every time. The blacksmith one that gives you instant upgrades, it sucks. D tier. The medic one that gives you dervish with extra healing sucks. D tier, because if you do go this wing, you only go for it in castle to pick up relics. You're never going to go for this wing in Imperial. Military wing. Now this is an interesting one. I value this one pretty high. I'm gonna give it an A tier. Military wing into Imperial is actually very strong. And the reason why it's very strong, it spawns 7 Desert Raiders. Now, the only reason I don't give it higher tier is for one reason, and that reason is you will most likely already have taken military wing until this point, right? So if the meta was different and you never went military wing early on, I would probably give this landmark an S tier because it is very strong. The Desert Raiders, once fully upgraded, have crazy amount of armor, and they're really, really good, and you can buff them further with your infantry. And having 7 Desert Raiders spawn at the time is really sick. Also, what a lot of people don't know, if you're pop capped, this thing keeps getting the charges, which means if you delete 50 units, you can get like multiple of 7 Desert Raiders pop out. So it's very, very good. It kind of stacks up, if that makes sense. So the amount of resources you get is 630 per minute. Is that right, chat? Someone can confirm. It's 630 resources per minute. And they're, like I said, they're very good. They're not knights, but they're very close to it. Next one is going to be, let me see where I left off, the Atabeg. The idea of Atabeg is cool, but I feel like it's just not it. I'm just gonna give it D tier. This is a problem with Atabeg. In Imperial, you have like a crap ton of I'll give it a C tier. This is the problem with Atabeg. You can't swap them in and out of buildings. That's number 1. Number 2, you can only make 7, or you get 7. The most use you can get out of this is putting them in siege workshops, which can be good, sure. The problem with it is, I would rather have the one that spawns 7 Desert Raiders than this one. I would rather age up faster than have this one, because a lot of the games are very tempo oriented. If you're putting the Atabeg into like stables or, you know, whatever else, I feel like it just, you're not going to have 7 production buildings in Imperial. You're going to have like 60 production buildings. So if 7 of them have extra health, I mean, is it good? Sure. Is it going to change the outcome of the game? I mean, probably not. So I feel like the only time you can get the most value out of them is putting them in siege workshops, like I said. But then if you're playing like a siege-based game, the opponent can just kind of run around you, right? So it's all right, but it's nothing special. I feel like you also get way more value with Atabeg Wing in like Feudal Age than you get it later on. Next one, we'll be talking about... Actually, no, I'm going to give it a B tier. I give it a B tier. I give it a B tier. I decided. B tier. Next one we'll be talking about is the Gamba Wing. And I don't think I've ever went Gamba Wing with this with Ayyubid in Imperial. Now, on paper, this is really good and really cool, but it requires a metric shit ton of gold to use. So I feel like if you have a shit ton of metric gold to use, sure, this is pretty good because you can spawn units, you can spawn traders, and you can buy stone. But again, you have to take in consideration, we're not playing like at 30 APM and you're like, yo, I'm gonna buy stone for the next 20 minutes. You might die in the next minute. So while buying stone forever sounds cool, like I said, the high level games are very tempo based, and you're most likely not gonna get your value through this wing. You want something more impactful straight away, and not something that's gonna be good in 20 minutes. Okay, like if you're picking something because it's good in 20 minutes at the high level, you're going to lose way beforehand. Okay, you're not gonna get to that point, and if you do, you would have won anyway, right? If you played without landmark for 20 minutes and then you won, then you probably win anyway. And then economic wing growth, I'm going to give this... I mean, I'll give this a B tier. I'm gonna give this wing right here. Because I realized not a lot of the wings are very good, but they're not very good in Imperial anyway. So the economic wing growth, the meta right now is to either get it in feudal or castle. But if you do get it in Imperial, you do get, I think, 10 workers, if I'm not mistaken. Which at that point, if you're around 90 workers, is not that strong. But if you get it in Imperial, I think you get like 10% gathering rate or something like that. Gathering speed if you go Imperial eco growth, which is why I'm putting it there. But in general, this will most likely be taken earlier, so that makes it not very good because you don't want to wait until then. And also the berry bush bonus that you get is obviously, you know, non-existent because by then the berries are going to be gone. And then getting 10 workers when you have 90 or 100 workers is not that impactful as getting 7 workers when you age up to castle when you have like 30 workers or 32 workers, right? It's a lot bigger eco boost. Did I miss any of the landmarks, Twitch chat? And then let's have a final look to see if we're satisfied with the list. I think I got all of them. Okay, S tier, Palace of Swabia for both OOTD and HRE. That's 100%. Red Palace, love that. High Armory, I think it's an insane landmark. Gunsmith, insane landmark. Great Wall Gatehouse. This landmark also makes your food like immune to raiding, basically. It's like Red Palace. If you build it around your granaries and your farms, it's like you can't get harassed at all. A tier. Okay, S tier, I agree. A tier, Istanbul Observatory. It might even be S tier, to be fair. Let's see the other ones. Berkshire, Abbasid Trade Wing. Abbasid Trade Wing, I'm going to knock it down a little bit. Abbasid Imperial Reinforcement, okay. Foreign Company, we might bump up that. I think this landmark is really good because it gives you activation on all your unique units. So I'm gonna give it. Dude, the Imperial landmarks are so much harder for me to do because you see a lot less of them. Wingard, I'm gonna give B+. No, we're gonna keep this here. I think Berkshire, Istanbul, and these ones are a lot better. They give you a crap ton, a lot more value. Fuck it. Let's just keep it that way. I genuinely, like, this tier, A and B+, like, I feel like it can be both ways. Like, I feel like this can be here, this can be here, you know? Let's give it an A-. I think that's more appropriate. Zhu Xi's Legacy Library, Temple of the Sun, we'll give A-. Ayyubid Wing Advancement, we'll give A-. Okay, we're gonna give it B tier. Abbasid Trade Wing, we'll give A-. Elsbach Fort of the Hundreds, White Stupa. Okay. Castle of the Crows, Paskaya, College of Artillery, History Academy, Palace of the Sultan, Palatine School, Kaganat's Palace. And then D tier are, again, the landmarks you pretty much never ever want to go into an Imperial because they kind of suck. Another landmark that could be moved up is the White Stupa. The problem with the White Stupa is, like I said earlier, there's multiple ways to get stone at that point, and you're also not getting crazy amount of stone very quickly, but it does boost your stone income quite fast. Spirit Way, same thing. It would probably be an A tier, but the fact that it takes like 10-15 minutes post-Imperial to actually start using it properly with Fire Lancers doesn't make it too great, in my opinion, and that is going to be the Imperial landmark tier list right there. Chat is probably not happy. This is the one that I think, like I said, Feudal one, I'm pretty sure it's on point. Castle one, pretty sure it's on point. This one, I think a lot of them can be moved one up or one down. Like, it's all of these are very situational because getting to Feudal Age, for example, it's very easy to say going to Feudal, this landmark is the best. But going to Imperial, a lot of it depends what the situation in the game is, what matchup it is, what map it is. You know what I mean? So a lot of these, like if the landmark is A-, it might as well sometimes be A, sometimes it might be B, right? So +1, -1. Look at it like that. So yeah, it's very varied. And it's unfair to not call that out, right? I just want to make sure everyone knows. But I would say S tier landmarks and D tier, they're always there, okay? They're always there. That's it. YouTube gamers, if you're watching this, I want to thank you so much for watching. The next Civ tier list will probably be coming soon because it is August. Although, I'm assuming we're getting a patch soon as well, so I might wait till the patch hits. I don't know when the patch is, but that's something to look forward to. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Twitch gamers, I'm saying goodbye to you guys as well. I'm heading offline. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day to you too as well. Peace out. Until next time. See you tomorrow.